All right, so take 5. This piece of dough is going to be the enzyme. And this little thing that is attached to the enzyme is the cofactor. The cofactor binds to the enzyme in order for the reaction to catalyze properly, and it helps the reaction to properly happen. And this area is going to be the active site, and this area is going to be the allosteric site. This is a substrate, and basically the substrate will, in regular cases, the substrate will bind to the active site. And if there are no inhibitors that are stopping the reaction from happening, then the reaction will be catalyzed, and there will be two products that are formed. However, sometimes there are competitive inhibitors that compete with the substrate for the action site. If the competitive inhibitor binds to the active site first, then the substrate cannot then bind to the enzyme because there's no room and it's already binded. And therefore, no reaction will occur. There are also times when an allosteric competitive inhibition happens, and that is when the competitive inhibitor doesn't bind to the active site, it binds to the allosteric site or some other site. But this changes the shape of the enzyme, like it closes it, and the substrate can't then bind to the active site because there's no opening anymore and it just doesn't fit right. Therefore, no reaction happens. The allosteric activator, however, can activate the enzyme by binding to the allosteric site, and in doing so, the enzyme will actually open up for the substrate to bind to the enzyme. This will allow for the substrate to then have a reaction. The allosteric activator in that case. There are also cases where the non-competitive inhibitor can bind to some other place than the enzyme, and this won't stop the substrate from binding to the enzyme. However, it will stop the reaction from happening. Therefore, there is no reaction. There are no products. The only thing that they can do is unbind. There are also cases where the non-competitive inhibitor can also bind to the active site, but it is the same case. The substrate can also bind, but there's no reaction that is catalyzed. Therefore, the only action that both the substrate and the non-competitive inhibitor can take is to unbind from the enzyme, but there is no products or no reaction that is catalyzed. And that is it.